Sure.
And if you get a group of Remainers looking up at Everest saying, we're leaving, but it can't be done, we now end up in the situation we're currently in.
So do you think this is, I mean, Andrew in Leeds just sent me a text saying May and Hammond are actually on the same page. She agrees with him, and for this and many other reasons needs to go. This is just good cop, bad cop, obfuscation.
Well, there's a lot of politics to it. There's a lot of politics. Let me put it this way. David Cameron must be wondering why he resigned at the moment. If he resigned as a Remainer only to see Theresa May take over, he must be absolutely gutted. But your earlier point is completely right. The EU does not represent the nations of Europe. It represents itself. And we've seen that with Macron 2 weeks ago, saying that he didn't have a referendum in France because he knew full well the people would vote to leave. An incredible statement.
What's your gut then, Tony, as to where this is likely to go? Of course, because the Philip Hammond position is clearly, well, yeah, let's have this transition period. In fact, let's make it a little longer, which, of course, is like saying if we can draw this one out, it will never happen. I don't think that's over-suspicious to suggest that, do you?
Well, I do, actually, because it's amazing what you just said was to talk about the transition period as if it was an acceptable fact already before you went on to talk about its extension. I don't remember anything about the transition period. There shouldn't even be one. I mean, we should have left straight away. We waited ages. We didn't even need to trigger Article 50.
No, legally there were probably other solutions and other ways to do it. We could have just said, no, we're off. Yeah, I get there are people that believe that, but I think most of us knew, Tony, that there was going to be a period before we didn't think that the next day we'd be out of the EU.
Well, that's true, but then I'll put it another way. What about if we trigger Article 50 and make the mistake of reading it and then find out they haven't applied it? Because it clearly states that Article 50, Section 3, states very clearly that you must look at the transitional arrangements and the final exit deal as part of the arrangements for the exit. It's completely tied up as one thing, contrary to all these statements by Barnier.
So you're saying it can't be a two-step thing?
Article 50, and I urge people to read it because it's incredibly short, luckily, says that you cannot consider the leaving process from the after event in terms of what arrangements will apply. It explicitly says it very clearly for once in a European treaty, and they have completely gone against that. What did we expect? What has happened is a huge number of people want to leave the European Union and are being stopped from doing so. Everybody knows what's going on. The media side, and I use that very loosely, but it's so general in terms of what's going on, are 100% Remainers, and they spend every day frustrating what people wanted.
Tony, straight to the point stuff. I'm grateful. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Andy in Bristol. What are your thoughts, Andy? Hi.
And good evening. And the gentleman before me just summed it all up more eloquently than me, but I cannot understand. We knew 12 months ago that there was no position in Europe about us leaving with negotiation. And I cannot understand, we have people within the political right who are saying, let's just go. Well, let's just go. And why worry about Northern Ireland? Northern Ireland is not worried. The border will stay there.
Well, who is not worried? I think there's quite a lot of people who are concerned in Northern Ireland about that.
In what way? You tell me now. Why is it a problem?
Well, why do you think it's a sticking point in the entire process?
Well,
what have you spotted that they haven't?
They're talking about the transition of goods over a line between the two countries. And that's what they're talking about. It's
that's one aspect of it. Of course, it's making the Good Friday Agreement sit in harmony with Article 50.
The Good Friday.
Well, it can't be forgotten. It's part of it. It's intrinsically linked, Andy.
In what way?
Well, everything in terms of the border control, in terms of EU nationality and status. I mean, I'm not making this up. I promise you, it really is a sticking point.
But we don't have border controls there. And so...
Well, the question is, would we have to have border controls there? That's the point, isn't it?
I think this is just making a lot out of it. Do you mean to say that all the people living in Calais illegally are now going to try and get to Ireland so they can live illegally in Ireland to try and cross the border in Ireland?
I mean, in theory, there are issues about the mechanics. Issues. Well, the mechanics of it would be that you could probably do that if you wanted to.
So all all the people in Calais, the immigrants who are in Calais, and they're going to make the way across France and get on a ferry to go to Ireland and go up.
Well,
to
probably
Ireland.
not, because they're not doing that in England at the moment. But I take the point you're trying to make, Andy.
Well,
What about Andy? In terms of
point is,
okay.
No, well, let me just say this. The bottom point is, in my opinion, from a government point of view, is to say we finish in March next year. We're finishing. That's it.
So just leave. All right. Okay. So you want to send Barnier away with a flea in his ear. You're not the first person to say it. Andy, thank you very much indeed. Not sure you're right about the Good Friday Agreement. I think the border issue on Northern Ireland, that's a huge problem with this. Alex is in Enfield. Where are you going with this one, Alex? Hi.
Hi, Ian. All of this was made abundantly clear to these fanatical Brexiteers before we started all this. We're in the European Union. We've been in it for 40 years. No one was going to write a special rules for a transitionary period. It would make logical sense that if we're moving to a situation where we're no longer in it, that transition is for businesses to adjust, isn't it? So that they can continue to offer whatever services they're offering. So all these silly people going, we should have just left. They don't know what I'm talking about. This is why you don't leave these kind of decisions to the public. You know, we'd still have capital punishment in the UK if it was left to the public. MPs don't vote for it.
But nobody explicitly said that during a transition period, we will be calling all of the shots, and anything you bring to the table will be royally ignored. There was never anything said about that.
The way you're painting that up, though, mate, is not accurate. We've always been part of a group of 28 countries where we all have a say. No one country, I expect. But
we will have no say once the transition period begins.
That's like
but my point is, was it ever explicitly pointed out? Was it ever pointed out, Alex? This would be the case.
Yeah, but like I said, it's like shooting yourself in the foot and wondering why you're limping.
Well, that's only if you. That's assuming. But that's assuming you agree with or disagree with the process of leaving, of course. So you're looking at this through the prism of a Remainer.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at it from a pragmatist, a bit like Mr. Corbyn. As a country, you want to leave. Leaving means you're not involved in the decision-making process anymore. And during the period that you're going to leave and implement, you've decided you want an implementation period of 2 years where you still get the benefits of the European Union. And what they're saying is if you want that period, during that time, this is how it's going to be. Now, I'm not saying that we don't deserve to have a place on the table, but what would we be doing at the table? We're not going to be there in 2 years' time. So any decisions that we vote on won't affect us. That's why they've taken us out of the decision-making process. It kind of makes sense. It's fair. You don't vote for things that aren't going to affect you in the future.
But you have to adhere to rules, even new rules. In the meantime, do you think Jeremy Corbyn's position is pragmatic on this?
Absolutely, because you've got to bring.
Well, most people can't make head and tail of what on earth his position is.
I know, because
it's changed so much on the single market.
Because the media and the Conservative Party have got us all at each other's throats, not thinking. But
I think people can make up their own mind. I'm sure you're not in a boat on your own on that one, Alex.
Before Cameron called, was the public eating each other's ears out like they are now?
Well, the debate had hardly begun, sir.
Ian, people aren't thinking anymore. That's the problem. It's just polarised into this silly debate.
All right, Alex. Strongly put stuff. 0345 6060 973. More of your comments coming through on this one in just a second. We're also going to look into the heartbreaking story of baby Isaiah. We discussed this a little last week, I think it was. The High Court has now ruled today that doctors can withdraw life support treatment. We'll look at that in just a moment. Text 84850, tweet at LBC. Right now, 10:30, and the latest news headlines come from Amelia Cox.
In the last few minutes, the Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has announced a referendum on the section of Ireland's constitution which enshrines its restrictive abortion laws will be held in May. The UK has been told it must obey all EU laws during a transition period after March 2019, when it will have no say over the creation of new ones. The EU's agreed its negotiation position for an implementation period, which it says must end by the end of 2020. A council leader who suggested rough sleepers in Windsor be moved on ahead of the royal wedding has survived a vote of no confidence. Conservative Simon Dudley said beggars could present the town in a sadly unfavourable light when Prince Harry marries Meghan Markle in May. LBC weather: most rain should clear tonight with some frost in the south, thick cloud in the north, showers in the northwest, a low of -2 degrees.
This is LBC. It's time. Time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. With stunning HD video, crisp audio, and instant wireless sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
£1 could buy you a couple of minutes at the hairdresser's or a handful of cinema popcorn. Or £1 could buy you a Thunderball ticket for a chance to win £500,000. Bit of a no-brainer, really. Thunderball, only from the National Lottery. For just £1, you could win £500,000. Why not play this Tuesday? Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Highways England is here to improve your journey. Have you noticed the red X's above you when driving on the motorway? Think they're not important? Think again. They mean there's an obstruction or danger up ahead. So if you see one, you must change lanes safely to avoid a penalty, or even worse. So when you see a red X, it's there for a reason. For more information on red X's, search online for smart motorways.
Special fares. We could go anywhere. How about Australia?
Too much coral.
Singapore?
Too warm.
How about Bangkok? The Songkran Water Festival is on.
I don't like swimming.
Well, luckily for you, it's a water pouring festival, like a giant water fight.